Still have some good people joining us. You want to start it out, Satonia?
Yes. Can you give me permission to screen share?
Ooh. Okay. Well, we should be good. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Let me just get it all together. Is everyone seeing everything so far?
Boom. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started then. Thank you all for coming. This is our third author meet and greet presented by SKOOL and Niche Book Bar, which was formerly Black Authors Pop-Up MKE. So Niche Book Bar, I will get to telling you a little bit more about in a minute, but pretty much we're gonna welcome, introduce the programs that are here today. Then each of our authors are gonna come on, talk about themselves, their books. If you have any questions, just hold them in your brain or you can type them out and then we'll ask them during the Q&A. At the end, you can network if there's a specific author you wanted to connect with or maybe author to author connections. We'll have time for that. And then we'll just end with the closing comments and be done. Sound good? Okay. So let me get this where we can see a bit better. So my name is Satonia, and I am the creator of Niche Book Bar, or Niche, depending on the side of the country you're on for how to pronounce that. And so what we are is a startup bookstore with a small selection of wine available and a no-frills cafe menu. So what we're starting out with is Black Authors Collective, which is a collective of about 50 plus, mostly local Milwaukee, but some around the United States as well. And the plan with that is to just have a way to connect people together and also have consumers looking for Black books to connect to those authors. So you'll be seeing a few members from the collective today. And hopefully you'll just keep on seeing more as we grow and do more of these. Then I'm gonna pass it over to Fidel.
Yes, and thank you everyone for your time. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you especially to our authors. We are honored to have you. We so honored to have you. This virtual shift that Satonia was explaining created this collaboration. SKOOL is a nonprofit creative arts organization located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. We serve high school and young adult youth primarily, and we have an after-school program and a summer program. And one of the things we really emphasize in our mission is literacy, arts, publishing, and media. And so young people learn how to tell their own story, and through photography, through artwork, through literature, through song, through dance, through poetry. And so this is a culmination of something we've been doing for the last 6 years, I believe. As part of our True Knowledge Library anniversary, we invite local authors in to come and really inspire our students, to inspire students with their story, talking about their journey of publishing. How did they actually take it from a concept to a complete product that's available, and talk to our young people about those steps and how they could do it. So again, thank you all for being a part of this, because we'll share this with a lot of our students. We'll also make sure that we are sharing this via our other outlets as well. And so this will touch a lot of people. So we look forward to the information to help, inspire the future generation of writers, publishers, illustrators, and wordologists to be able to tell their story and tell all of our collective stories. So again, thank you. And trueskool.org is where you can find out more information about True School.
All right, thank you so much. So we got together just kind of a similar goal of wanting to connect people to Black authors and youth to that next generation.
Can I tell the story? Because I love telling it so much. Right
Oh,
fast.
yeah.
I do
Yep.
short version. The short version is I ran into the Black Authors Pop-Up MKE at an event that you all were doing last summer, and I was super thrilled, excited, and amped up that something like that even existed. And we wanted to be a part of it instantly. We wanted to make sure that we could support. We wanted to make sure that we could help spread what you all are doing. We wanted to make sure that we wanted to, again, make sure the young people in the community knew that there was such an outlet and such a network and a mechanism to get support for young authors. When I went to that event, I met a little girl that was a author. She couldn't have been no more than 7 or 8. And I don't remember exactly how old she was, but I took a picture with her. I was so super proud. And I bought one of her books, and I bought a couple books that day. So that's how we got here. And so I've been a big champion of everything you're doing, Satonia. And again, thank you for, following up on everything and being a woman of your word. And here we are. And I hopefully just gave you access that you can record on your end.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And thank you so much. Yes, that little one was 7. I'd give you her name, but I don't have permission for mom, and we're recording. So, but I am putting it together a directory. The authors, if you look in your email, and all the authors got an email with a fillable directory. So they are putting their information, their names, where to buy their books, and all of that's going to go on the page. Hopefully by mid-July, trying to get everybody to just type that in. So you'll be able to go onto the Niche Book Bar and then just look on there and see the directory of full authors, and that'll just be a working document. So we keep adding as they come in. So, all right. Well, with that, we are going to get started. We're going to start with our first author, Miss McGee. If you could get started on telling us about yourself and your book.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Hello to everyone out there on Zoom and anyone that will be joining us or watching the replay. Want to thank Niche Bar and also True School for having me and the other authors. I'm excited to hear more from the other authors as well. I really love you, so I definitely love all what you're doing. I work with youth as well, so definitely love that. But enough of that. I am Lanice McGee. I am a speaker, author, community initiator. I bring inspiration to the content that I deliver to emerging leaders as they are defining their role and their journey. And so a little bit about my book here, 7-Day Journey to Discovering Their Purpose, God's Visions, My Hands, or Our Hands, right? Our Hands is a partnership with the divine. This is really special to me. This is my first solo book project. This is really special to me because I've done a few other books, but this book in particularly, I did alongside 11 other women of color, and we journeyed through a cohort of a 90-day journey to write and publish our book through an author lab, which is powered by Talk Publish, and who is owned by a minority as well. And so we made history by doing it in that form as well. So that's really exciting. So we made history while at the same time making our own history by writing our legacy in our books, right? So that is super exciting. So a little bit about the book. And I kind of just want to more so share a little bit about my heart and like kind of why I wrote it. And it really kind of had to do with me, myself, kind of wanting to know, like, what is my purpose? What am I here for? And so thinking about that made me want to write this book as well. we live in a world, especially now, this is more true than anything else. We live in a world full of uncertainty. I really feel like the reason that we live, the reason why we exist should not be one of those things that are uncertain. And when we have a life that is full of meaning, our life is better. We live better when we understand what our own meaning is, right? And so if you've ever asked yourself, why am I here? Why do I exist? What is my purpose? The 7-Day Journey book is for you. And the whole purpose of it is not just to discover our purpose in like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, but what is the purpose that God has for you? And we do this through a 7-day journey. 7 days is not a long time. God created the world in 7 days. He uniquely made you and made all of our fingerprints different. I definitely believe that he can tell you exactly what you were created for in 7 days. Ephesians 1:11 says, you have been predestined according to the purpose of him who works all things according to the counsel of his will, and he has a will for you. Yes, so I'm super excited, and I don't want to talk too much because I'm probably over my time, but that is a snippet of what the book is about, a little bit about me and why I'm super excited and glad, and thank you for this platform to share amongst other great authors to everybody about what I am doing and just able to hear what everybody else has going on. So again, my name is Lanice McGee, and you can find me on social media, Lanice McGee. My book, if you do that, you'll be able to find me. So thank you again for the time.
All right, thank you so much. And don't worry about talking too much. That's what we're here for, so you can talk more about yourself. And if everyone can look in the chat, I'll be posting links to people's books there. So Miss McGee's book is there right now that you can press and get that link to. All right, I am gonna go on. Thank you so much. We're gonna go to our youngest author here. Are you here?
Hold on, give me a minute. I'm gonna grab her.
Okay.
Hold on.
Mother-daughter duo.
Yep, mother-daughter duo. So I think that's really great too. What we're talking about, leading the kids, that next generation of authors to express themselves through literature or whatever means grabs them.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool to be able to grab hold of early.
Oh. Come show your face. No. Stop acting like she don't. She just woke up. She just woke up, but they can see your face. Just peek in and look. There you are. Come on. Come on, you gotta be professional.
You could have called me an hour before this, and
I was gone. Go ahead and tell them about your book. We gotta move forward, honey. They're recording.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm sure you are very beautiful.
My book is about preteen superheroes and a group of kids.
They can't hear you. I need you to speak up and speak with enunciation, ma'am.
I don't know how to do that right now because it's okay. My brain is slow.
Okay, that's okay. Go in and talk to the people.
My book is about preteen superheroes and a group of kids who accidentally get powers and they fight evil creatures and villains in the village.
Okay. So tell a little bit about how you got started. Why did you write your first book?
I like writing. First of all, when I was 7 and a half, I had to write like small stories in Google Docs, and then my mom had this workout class where there was a computer, so I used to type something, and one of her friends who went to the workout class, every time I used to write a small story of the book, basically, she used to give me money, so that pushed me further. And then my mom got a computer. Then she wrote a book, so I wrote a book. And when I told her, she was like, oh yeah, that's cool. She's writing a little book. And then she read it, and she was like, this is really good. So, yeah.
And what's next for you? What's next?
What's next?
Do you have more books coming?
Yes.
Can you talk about it, please?
I don't even know how to pronounce it yet, but my new book is called My Crazy Black Year of SKOOL, which is not published yet.
Okay, working on it.
And it's about a girl who's new at this school, and she has like a crazy, weird school year, and yeah, don't know how to know what it's about yet.
You do know what it's about.
Well, I do know what it's about, but it's going to be giving too much information.
Oh, okay. So they have to read the book to find out what it's about.
Can't give it all away.
Can you let them see your face? Can you just give them a little smile? There you are.
You look perfectly good.
Pre-teens, I tell you.
Yes, but at least she is out here creative, doing her own thing.
What else do you do?
I bake peanut butter cookies and make t-shirts.
Yeah, so she.
Oh, and birthday bags. So if anybody has a birthday coming up that's for a child 12 and under, we give them a bag they can carry their stuff around with pictures on it, and they get a shirt with pictures on it, and
cookies,
a teddy bear, and a book, or one of them when the other one comes out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you. We'll definitely have questions later.
I see somebody is not shy about self-promoting, and plus actually a whole entrepreneur mogul in the making over there.
It's not working.
Definitely. That was a good plug right there.
Wow.
Okay, well, we'll definitely be having more questions for you, but I am going to go on to our next author, which is Miss Kenya Gray, mother of the last author.
And interviewer of the last author, too.
Oh, and interviewer, multi-talented.
Yeah.
All right. How is everybody doing this evening?
We're good.
Okay, wonderful. Well, my name is Kenya Gray. The MD does not stand for doctor. I have been using, it actually is M-D for Mary Darlene. Don't laugh. Those are my two grandmothers. So I have a hyphenated middle name. But since I was in 8th grade, I was really impressed with that. And so when I used to write my signature, I would write with the MD. And there were people that actually thought that I was a doctor many years ago. And I had to explain to them if I was a medical doctor, the MD would be at the end, not in the middle. But that is the story of my unusual name. I'm actually am in school to become a doctor of philosophy. I should have my PhD in 2022 in performance psychology. And what's really great about that field is I can work in a lot of different areas. I can work in sports performance. I can work in exercise, just really helping people to do things efficiently. I'm already currently life coaching. My master's degree was in psychology with an emphasis in life coaching. So I do life coaching, but I've been doing fitness coaching, I would say, probably for the last 15 years, I want to say, starting out at Weight Watchers as a leader in the company, just really helping people to lose weight. I decided after 5 years, after they let me go, it was some drama with that. Let me tell you, I really believe that there was, I don't want to call the race card. I really don't want to, but if you look at the Weight Watchers company, there are not a lot of Black leaders. There are not a lot of Black women or men leading meetings. In fact, in my area, I was the only one. And so, in fact, I was in a meeting and a couple of the young ladies complained. They felt that I was being more, that I was nicer to the Black people in the group, which is really not like me at all, because I really love everybody. I've always been that way, and I have never had a problem with anybody else. In fact, I'm really interested in other cultures and other people, and always been that way, been raised that way. So I just think it was a ploy to get rid of me. But that was God's plan, because right after that, shortly after that, I decided to start my own fitness business, doing fitness classes at my church. And then I moved forward from there, do fitness coaching, do exercise classes. And then I decided that I would tell my story. And that is where my first book came from. I've always been writing. I don't want to say always, but since I was eight or 9 years old, writing poems, songs, short stories. plays, soap operas. I did all of that. In fact, I will be coming out with a fiction book eventually. Eventually that will happen. But before I did that, I decided that I needed to tell my story about fitness and how I was able not to just become physically fit, but spiritually and mentally fit, because all of that is connected. We definitely can make changes on the outside, but if we don't make changes on the inside with our heart and deal with our hurt and our struggles, it's just going to be temporary and we won't see the effective change that we need for our lives. So I think that is really important. I really love to help women in our community, simply because women in our community are the ones that are dying from preventable diseases like heart disease, strokes, diabetes, high blood pressure, you name it. We are the ones statistically that are dying from these diseases that we can prevent by how we take care of ourselves. And so I really target that audience mostly because my mother was age 46 when she passed away. And that was 29 years ago. I was a 17-year-old girl. And having that experience, even though it was hurtful, it was painful, I think it really paved the way and the course of my life and gave me a passion for helping women, because I never want anyone else to experience that type of loss if I can help to prevent it. And so I'm 45, I'll be 46 this year, the same age of my mom's death. And one of the things I always said was, I'm not going out like that. So the only way that I can say that is that I have to put my actions to my words. I can speak all I want to, but I have to make sure that I am being the healthiest that I can be. So that was the purpose of the first book. And then I was finishing up school, and my plan was going back to get my PhD, which I started in January. And I was not planning to write another book at all. I was saying, after I get out of school, I'll start writing again. Well, lo and behold, God really put in my spirit, you need to have a book to help women that go to conferences and different events, because I have different events that I'm a part of. And I want to be able to leave some type of physical tool for them, so that if they're inspired and motivated by me, by my classes, they have a way to continue to work on their journeys when I'm not present in their face. And so God really gave me the idea that I needed to create what I needed, a journal that would help me as well. And it is helping me. I actually use my journal and have been using it throughout the pandemic, because it's hard out here. It's really hard out here. And the eating can definitely get out of control. It doesn't matter how fit you get and how long you've been in fitness. I love food, and I always will love food. So it's just about making better choices. So I created this journal, and the journal is a devotional as well. And it's a weekly devotional, and it deals with different aspects of a woman's life. It deals with her fitness, physical fitness. It deals with her eating habits. It deals with exercise. It deals with life goals, career goals. You name it, it is in there. And it deals with that in 26 weeks. So it is a 6-month book, a 6 months to a healthier you, spirit, soul, and body. And I have a few of my members that are using it, and they say that it's really effective for them in different ways. So I'm really excited about the book. I really want to help women. And it came out right before the pandemic. My goal was January, because that's the start of the year. Everybody wants to get healthy. But God had another plan, and it didn't come out until March, right before they shut us down. And it was really a great tool to a lot of women who, are stuck at home, really trying to focus and take care of themselves. I spoke a lot. I spoke a whole lot. So I think that's all I want to say. And if anybody has any questions, definitely they could ask me later. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, we definitely will. Don't be afraid to speak too much. This is your platform today. We will definitely come back to that.
Don't tell me that. I love talking.
I just tried to dig into some cookies a few minutes ago, so I'll definitely have some questions. All right, I am going to move over to our last author here, Miss Angela. So if you would like to get started, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. My name is Angela. I go by Angie, and then on social media, I go by AKS Love. I'm currently a full-time student. I'm finishing up nursing school right now, so I have about 3 more months in nursing school, and then not only will I be Arthur Angie, I'll be Nurse Angie as well. A few things about me. I've always been a lover of books. I've been reading since I could recognize words. I've always liked to read. I My mom, they laugh at me all the time because I used to read the white pages when I was little. That's how much I like to read. So now I really pretty much read urban fiction books as well as like Christian fiction and Christian like self-help books. So the title of my book is Reflect, Release, Restore, and it is a journal. It's a guided journal. In this book, I go over 5 relationships: relationship with your mother, your father, other family members, your friends, relationship with the opposite sex, as well as your relationship with yourself. Um, I'm pretty sure everybody has pretty much kind of had rough times dealing with either of those relationships or sometimes all of those relationships. And sometimes what I notice about myself is that I would navigate these relationships, I would have these hard times, I would have issues, and I would hold it in. I would hold it in. I would be so angry about this relationship ending or these things happening or my mom did this or my dad did that. And it really affected how I felt about myself. So as I went on from a teenager to adulthood and being a mom, I pretty much held in just bad and negative feelings throughout all of the relationships that I had. So it's 2020. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to just write down everything that ever had happened to me in my life. And I was just surprised by how good I felt after releasing everything. So I knew I wanted to write a book. I always said that I wanted to be an author. I just really pretty much didn't know what I wanted to write about. So I prayed about it and I had the idea to write it as a journal, to go over the relationships, to talk about some of the things that I went through. And in turn, in the book, I asked questions for the readers to answer. So I asked questions about your relationship with your mom, your relationship with your dad or your family, or even with yourself, just to get those feelings out because it was, like I said, it was something that helped me uh, become a better person. So that is the reflect part of the book. The release part of the book pretty much just tells you how to navigate the next step, either releasing the relationships or just releasing the burden of those feelings of the relationship. And then the restore part of the book pretty much just goes over how to get back to yourself, to who you truly feel like you are. So I talk about therapy. I talk about a little bit about my journey in therapy and how I went about finding a therapist because I'm a big advocate for that. And that is pretty much it about me. I'm a pretty simple girl. Like I said, I love to read. I read all day long, and I used to write a lot when I was younger. I kind of fell off of that, especially now with school. But I'm really proud of the book. You can find it on Amazon. You would just have to search under Angela Burris and then Reflect, Release, Restore, and the book will pop up. Um, my social media handles are under AKS Love. So it's AKS LOVE. So 2 separate words. You can find me on Instagram as well as Facebook. And you can also follow Reflect, Release, Restore, spelt the traditional way on Instagram as well as on Facebook too.
All right. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Angela, for sharing that with us. And I think that is a very important topic. And we'll definitely segue into that as we go into the Q&A right now. So if you guys would like to chime in, you can go ahead, just speak up on the microphone, or you can kind of type in the chat if you're a little shyer. Otherwise, we are going to get started asking questions. And I think the one I'd like to start off with, just to everyone is, how has COVID changed the way you're marketing yourselves and your books?
Okay, I'll go first. I released the book in May, so it was really kind of right in the middle of COVID. I had planned on doing a book release party, but I was not able to do that. So it's pretty much just been, I'm always on social media, so it hasn't been super hard for me. So it's pretty much just been a lot of sharing, interacting with people, talking about the book, and just pretty much sharing the links, getting in groups, and just engaging with people, which is still good because you're still able to connect with people. It just won't be that face-to-face connection.
So we've done a couple of things as far as marketing since COVID-19. We always, just like Angela was saying, or Miss Angie was saying, promoted on Facebook, Instagram, things of that nature. But we've done like little events, virtual events. So one of the events that we did for Mariah was she had made up some other stories. It wasn't her book, but she was just, she had an app that she was engaged in where they could write short stories. And pretty much what we did was have her to read some of the little short stories that she did on Facebook. And we had, we asked people to invite their children. So we created an event, and it was really a great turnout. It was little kids, and we encouraged the parents to, type in the questions that their children had regarding the book. We did it in like different segments. So we had her read a little bit of it, and then, we asked them questions about their lives, because the short story that she created was about a little girl that was lost in the forest and had an encounter with a stranger who actually had tried to molest her. That was a really interesting short story and pretty mature content. And so our questions were to the children: what would you have done? What is the best way to avoid this? And it was a really good discussion, because we know nowadays children are being abducted, children are being touched inappropriately by family members. So I don't know why she decided to write a book of this nature. We've always talked, and as far as I know, she is good, has not been messed with. But I know I've had cousins and things of that nature when I was younger that have, tried to touch me when I was a young girl. So I know it's really relevant in this day and age. So that was one of the events. I've also had a writer's workshop. So I did a writer's workshop just for people that are looking to, write themselves. Because in addition to being an author, fitness coach, life coach, I'm also an author coach. And I have several clients that I'm working with on getting their stories out there. And so that was a way of marketing as well. But it was a really great event, for us to just talk and chat and, let people know, what I'm doing and what the process is. Another thing that I plan to do, and possibly I'll talk to you guys later, that I would love you guys to be a part of, is I really would like to do an event, sort of like a home shopping network type of thing via Zoom, where people would come on, and people with different books and different products, especially because, we are supporting our Black businesses. So people will come on, we'll host it, and then people can talk about their different products, and we will give links to how they could buy those products. I really want to do something like that, since I've done like little women's expos and stuff like that in person. And so since we're not able to get out like we want to, and there might be people all over the world that want to participate, we'll do something virtual where people can still shop and support Black owned and do all of those type of things. So I'm excited. I'm thinking about how to plan that. I have another young lady that I want to work alongside to do that. That's just an idea that I have. I can't wait to.
We'll talk about that, Doctor. We'll talk about that concept. We have something in motion that I think you'll be very, very interested in.
Cool.
Word. I wanted to just back up a little bit to Angie, and you mentioned something very unique. As we've been having these virtual conversations, one of the things that's come up very often is marketing for books in order to get online sales and, of course, physical hand-to-hand sales. We've been talking about marketing. You know, it's one thing to go through the journey of writing a book and the process of drafts and edits and then getting it published. But one thing is, you know, also how do we sell it? How do we generate some sales and drive traffic to actual sales? So you mentioned something unique. I want to just ask a question. How is it working for you, or why is it important for you to create the digital real estate with the book title? You said you can find your book title as an Instagram handle, as a Facebook handle. It lives as its own title. Why was that important, and how has that worked out for you?
So what I did not mention is that I also have a boutique as well. And one thing I learned with selling clothing and selling accessories is that people pretty much they buy from who they trust. So when people know you or feel like they know you and feel like they can trust that you are being an authentic or a real person, that they would be more comfortable with purchasing whatever it is that you are buying. So whatever it is that you're selling. So I had that in mind as I was thinking about marketing for Reflect, Release, Restore. So my Instagram handle and my Facebook is more of a what is it called, like an empowerment type of thing. So I post posts, I talk about just like how I'm feeling or whatever, and a lot of people gravitate towards that because people think that their feelings are only unique to them, when that's not necessarily the case all the time. Other people are going through some of the same things that you're going through. So when you make it, when you are open with how you're feeling and who you are, it has people gravitate towards that because they see that it is somebody else that feels the way that they feel. So that has been very helpful for me. So the book has been selling really good for it only to be a month and a half. So I'm at like 100 books, and this is my first book, so that's really good for me.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'll be a month in tomorrow. So I'm about at 100 myself, so I'm not that many in. So my advice might not be on that scale, but what I've been doing is with the marketing as well. Of course, this is the second virtual that I've done. And with my books, they're interactive. So when they get the book, they also get a thank you letter asking them to download one of my free frames where they can put their picture in it, and then they can tag one person tagged, and then just from that tag, I got like 4 orders that day from what they posted. So I did that. Really just being really active on social media. I did a newsletter out to the people that because I do a lot of other stuff in the community. I do a lot of other stuff, so I'm tying it into that. I have speaking engagements coming up. I'll be focusing my speaking on the topic of what my book is, so that I can tie it in that way as well. I plan on doing a drive-by launch, since we can't do like an in-person one. But we are having an in-person one with the group that I published with in October. So that'll be coming up. But those are some things. And then like everyone that purchased my book, like 14 days later, I send them a letter, because my book is about a journey. And so hopefully they would have finished it if they did it in 7 days. I wait 14 days and I send them a letter as a reminder or whatever. And I get a lot of like, thank you for that. And so people really like that because it adds a personal touch to it. So I'm really trying to build relationships with people.
Awesome.
I think it goes back to like I said, I'm not like the expert on this. I'm new to this. So I think it's really still important to build. I know what relationships are important. I do know that. So relationships are important. And I know that when you build relationships, that does help. And I think that's what has helped me this far. Again, I haven't sold a lot of books.
Well, speaking of relationships, Lanice, you said something very interesting too. You said that this is a collaboration that you did sort of with other authors or like mine. So I think that's a really interesting concept too, speaking about relationships. You said that was powered by a certain publisher. I missed that when you said that. Go back a little bit, say who that publisher is that powered that, and what was that process like for you working with other authors, and how has it been? Like now it's out and you sort of co-authoring, how does that work?
Well, we all authored our own individual books.
Sure.
So that was cool. We just went through the process like together of doing it. But it was really cool because I didn't think I was gonna finish. I need accountability. So it did help with accountability for me. And everybody else had their own experience. There's two ladies who don't live in the same state because you don't have to. And so it was just interesting to meet people from that I would not have met otherwise. And then we're all working together, coming up with different marketing ideas, different ways that we can collaborate, different ways that we can just kind of push the mission forward to sharing our stories.
So what was the name of this publishing house that helped?
It's called Talk. T. Yep. But the program is called Author Lab, and it's myauthorlab.com, and you'll see all the people that went through the Author Lab, but they publish other people.
Awesome.
But the publishing company is called Talk Publishing.
Awesome. So it's all about awareness. A lot of people have asked a lot of brilliant questions, and really it's just about that awareness and being able to give people the roadmap, what works. They plug in someone else in a different way in their journey. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I have a question for Lanice. A question for Lanice. You said you had a thank you card, and then you had a place where they can put their picture and tag. I missed what you said that you utilized for that.
Oh yeah, on Facebook you can create those frames.
Okay.
Those free frames. So in the thank you letter, I say, I hope you enjoyed the journey. I could grab one. I hope you enjoyed the journey. Please download one of my free frames. And you can find a frame just by them putting in your name. I tell them how to do that. Or I can do it for them. And some of them will just inbox me because some people aren't good with social media. Right. So I can do that for you. Yes, I will. And they can download it and then they tag me on it. And
that's a great idea.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you were saying a lot how you're new to this, but I'll say right now, those are some really great ideas, some very fresh ideas I really haven't even heard. And I feel like what I'm hearing a lot from between the three of you is connecting with your target audience. It's not just about throwing your book into the world and say, okay, everybody buy it. Like, you are taking your time. This is you really trying to connect to the people that are buying your product.
All very complimentary too, because if I go through the 7 days and I can go through the 7 or 6 months, right? These different programs. I go through the 7 days and I go to 6 months and I'm documenting it all in the journal, and then I'm resetting and recharging and it's all together. I love what y'all doing.
And I think you can do that, and that's what was good about the Author Lab too, because we found out ways like, okay, what are you doing? How can we work together? How can we complement each other? Or, I actually been thinking about this too, just what you said about like, okay, how can I promote, like if somebody brought somebody's book and they said in the so many whatever, maybe I'll gift my book to somebody that maybe couldn't afford it. So I've been just thinking of different ways, because it's not really, of course we want to make sales, but it's not all about that. A lot of it too is about the message. And I know that somebody's going to want my message, just like somebody's going to want the life coach message. Somebody's going to want Angela's message. And so if there's enough people, enough resources for us all to collectively come together and come up with how can we all win. And like even with you guys, this platform here, it's really all about collaboration, because when we all get together and we do it, all win.
Yes. A woman.
And that is definitely the goals here of having a Black Authors Collective and connecting with other people in the community like True School and collaborating on events like this. So I'm really happy to hear that.
Is there any other questions from anyone on the line? Just wanted to open that floor up. Both show we did.
And you know, I just want to share too something else that I can't remember. Maybe one of them said about like they're doing a study group or group study or something like that, right? So there's like reader circles out there, things like that. Find out who already is out there and who's like leading that, and let them know like about your book, stuff like that. So I mean, because I'm sure there's people watching on here that you want to write a book, but you're not. We can't rely on our family and friends to buy our book. They may and they may not. They don't have to. That's okay. There's people, Angela says she loves to read. She used to read the white pages. Come on. It's somebody that wants to read your book. And so it's really being like, thinking like, okay, where are these people at? There are literally reader circles you can go onto. It's called reader circles, and then find the ones in your area. They don't even have to be in your area because they're already doing these groups. They're looking for books to read. So let me send the book to the leader so she can suggest this book, or we can, have a conversation how this can work, and really just spreading the word. Or maybe I can go on like the life coach, she can go on and do a session, and it's just really different ways that you can get your book out there to different people.
That is a great idea. And we definitely have one for the ones that are local here in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's Writer Circle, which is done by Hetty Key. So if we have any authors locally or non-locally, like you said, you can send them in. That is one locally here in Milwaukee that does things. So I love what I'm hearing so far, but I want to back up. Before you even get the book out, before you're worried about marketing, you got to write it. And sometimes that's what you hear at a lot of people's story. Like, I had this in my mind, but it took me a while to get it down. So can we talk a little bit about that? So for the people who are in that writing process, what was your writing process? How did you get from point A to point B?
Okay, I can start. So pretty much my writing process is once you write one book, let's just say this, once you get one book out there, to me, it's easier to do it again because you know the process, you know what to do. And it's almost like the creative juices are flowing. Because I actually have a third book that I'm brewing. Somebody told me that I was going to get it done before I graduate from college. I don't know. This doctoral program is tough. But but I did come up with an idea for another book that I just start writing. But for me, I thought it was important to share my story because it's a healing process. So I almost felt like I had to get it out. And that was the first way to introduce my writing to the world, was getting out my story. And I think for me, I just am a natural writer, not that I'm perfect or wonderful, but I've been writing for so long. And just like Angela was saying, I'm a reader. So I've read so many books. I read, 1,000-page books when I was like 9, 10 years old, Stephen King and things like that. They were on my mother's bookshelf that some I shouldn't have been reading. So I knew the process of writing. I understood what to do and how to organize everything. And so I started writing, but of course it's important, even if you know how to write well, that you have an editor and somebody that knows how to take you through the process. So for me, it was just starting to write. I just started writing out my ideas, and things would come to me. Sometimes I would be in my car and I would have ideas that I wanted to put in the book. So I would record myself saying these ideas. And so anywhere that I was, I would be writing. And one important thing that I always tell those that I'm coaching is that it's good to have journals and, physical journals and everything, but ultimately to really start that process to make sure that your book becomes a book is you need some type of electronic device to start typing on. because once you start doing that, you can continue to make corrections, you can continue to make edits as you go along. Even if you're typing and it may not make sense at the time, you can always go back and refine and refine and refine. And so that's very important. I will say that when you do books that are autobiographical, I don't know how it was for the other women, that you have to be prepared to emotionally deal with the healing process. There were some days when I relived events from my life through writing that I just had to tell my husband, I just need you to hug me right now. I would just come up crying. He's like, what's wrong with you? I was like, it's okay. I've been writing my book. He said, well, maybe you shouldn't. And I said, yes, I have to do this. I have to get this out, because there's things that we go through in life that sometimes my mom died 29 years ago, but in the last 5 years, I've really been able to heal and really been able to deal with that loss effectively, because many years I just pushed it down, didn't deal with it, closed people out of my life because of it. Like, even I have a stepmom, she's been my stepmom for 27 years, but I had the door closed. I had a wall up because I'm like, nobody's replacing my mom. So those type of things you have to deal with, especially, like I said, autobiographical books, knowing that it's going to be painful to write some of those things out. And sometimes you are reliving those experiences that you had as a child, and those same emotions that you felt then, it feels raw, just like the day that it was happening to you. So that's very important to know that it's not always going to be easy, but once you get to writing, I think it begins to flow. And like I said, get somebody to work with you, even before it gets to the editor stage. Have somebody that you can trust, that loves you, that pushes you, that is behind you to read what you're writing. So they can tell you, hey, this is good. Hey, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that. But definitely make it somebody that's in your corner, because everybody is not in your corner, okay? Family is not always in your corner. You have to get somebody that you know that you can trust and is for you. So that's very important. Everybody does not need to know you're writing a book, because some people are dream stoppers. So that's important for me. And I talked a lot. I'm sorry. Moving on.
No, you do not have to say sorry. This is what we're here for. And I really wanted to highlight before we go on to the next person who may want to answer that question. I love what you said about dream stoppers. I myself am a children's book author, and it's amazing how many people, if you mention that, will say something negative. It doesn't matter what it was. It was like, oh, well, I didn't really know you could write, or I didn't really think you were good at writing, or you're gonna do that? Yep, I don't know. There's just, it'll come in many different forms, but there are definitely ones who are there to boast you up, and those who kind of make you doubt yourself. So I definitely agree with that. Surround yourself with people early on that are going to kind of hold you accountable and boost you, rather than make you doubt yourself while you're already in a fragile early state.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that was said. There are naysayers, and my thought about that was, a lot of times they're projecting onto you what they wish they could do, or they're projecting onto you what they don't have the courage to do, right? And so I kind of always look at it from the perspective of, why do you have that opinion? First, have you written any books? Things like that. So I kind of take it from that perspective as well. But you do have to be careful, because everything is not meant to be shared at certain times. But for me, the writing process is to just start, and not to get so caught up in everything has to be perfect. So there are different writing programs, because there's different type of personalities, right? And so some people like to have things organized certain kind of way. So there's all kind of programs out there too that you can use. Microsoft Teams has this little, is it Teams, or that's what it is? You can put stuff in different folders. It's really neat, where if you're writing a book with different chapters, you can start on something and it doesn't have to be in order, right? And so a I don't want to call it a trick, a tool that I like to use is called head, heart, and feet. So when you're writing, remember head, remember heart, and remember feet. So the head is for the people who who you're talking to, who want to get that knowledge. So they want the statistics, they want the facts, right? So that's when you're writing, and this could even be about your life, right? 25% of the people that live in this neighborhood are Black. That could be a fact. The heart is the emotion. So that's your truth. But living in this neighborhood, I deal with racism, I deal with whatever you deal with, the heart. And then the feet, what is the action? Well, my action was A, B, and C. I decided that I was gonna stay here. No one's gonna make me leave, no one's gonna make me move, or is there an action for other people? So that's something you can kind of keep in mind depending on the type of book that you wanna write. So if you remember head, heart, and feet, head for that, heart, your emotion, you're getting to the emotion of people, and feet is action. So that's a tool that I like to use. And I'm not a great speller, right? I'm dyslexic, okay? And so I remember something really powerful that can't remember who told me, but who told you that you couldn't write? Who told you that you weren't good enough? And so if you're on here and you have a story to tell, I feel like it's your responsibility, because that's part of your legacy. No one can tell your narrative like you. That's why they have editors. Somebody needs that job to edit, right? So you get your book together, you get your story together, and you save those coins, and you have somebody help you organize your stuff so that you can get your story out there. It's still yours, it's still your words, it's still your legacy, and somebody is there to guide you along the way with the editing process. And so that, I think that's just really important to start, and don't look for perfection. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to start at the beginning. Like, I wake up in the middle of the night, I do the same thing. I have my phone, I was speaking to my phone, I have journals, and I just write. The book that I wrote now was an idea 4 years ago. And the only reason why I actually went through this program, I had no idea. I had no plan on writing. A friend of mine asked me to come, and she's like, would you come through this? And I was like, okay. And so it kind of just opened up for me, but I needed it because I do a lot. And so I needed the, support. So you know what you need to get the job done. And that's what I would say, encourage you to do. So go for it and write. Why wait tomorrow what you can do today? Your book needs to start tonight. Leave here inspired. Start writing down your book. Find out we got a life coach on here. We got Angela on here. We got True Skill with True School on here. We got too many people on here for us not to be, for us Black authors out here, not to be putting our story out there. They don't tell our history. They don't tell our story. We need to do it. So it's so important that we tell our now story, and we have people who are into their history that can tell their history story too. So I can go on and on, but that's just kind of what I do. I just start writing. Journals, and write. And I don't get so tied up into it being perfected, because that time will come. There's a time and season for everything, and that includes in your writing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I don't know who needed that, but I know I did just now, because I'm starting a fiction book, and you just hit all those things. So I know that's going to be touching someone out there trying to get writing. So thank you so much.
Lanice got the energy.
Yes. And then Angela, did you want to answer that question?
Can you say the question one more time?
Good question. Look, we've been going on. So I asked, before you get to that marketing and your book is out, my question was, how do you first sit down and start writing? How do you get to that point where you're not second guessing yourself and you're going for it, you're writing?
I think it's one of those things where you have to two things. You have to either be just tired of wishing and hoping and just go for it, or you have to force yourself to get uncomfortable. being comfortable holds people stagnant for so long, and you know you're comfortable in any of the situations that you've been in, and it is a lot of self-doubt, like, oh well, I've never done X, Y, and Z, so what makes me think, this is me talking to myself, I've never done X, Y, and Z, I've never completed anything, so what makes me think that I can complete a book? What makes me think that I can complete anything? So it's just like I had to force myself to get uncomfortable with being comfortable and just go for it. And that's some things that some people will have to do, is really pretty much just force themselves and just do it. Like Nike said, just literally just go ahead and do it. Just write, even if you only write a couple of sentences every day, or if you keep, like, I use my notes in my phone. Anytime I have an idea, I write it in my notes so I won't forget it. I have notebooks that I bought from like Dollar Tree, and those little flip pads that I write down any little idea. I go back and I look and I'm like, oh, I didn't even remember that I wrote this, but it's something that I added into this book. So it's just really pretty much forcing yourself to be uncomfortable, like I said, and just going for what you want out of life and making it happen.
Yes, I love that. And I feel like that's kind of the consensus across everyone. Like, just do it. Sit down, write, and your story will get out there if you just keep at it.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. What I have noticed is that we doubt ourselves so much, and then you'll be surprised at how many people needed whatever it is that you were writing about. You'll be surprised how many people needed it, and how many people who you know that you think you know closely, you're like, oh, and they're like, I really needed to read this. I really needed to release these things. I really needed to let go of these feelings, and I feel better now. I feel better than I've ever felt in my whole entire life. Like, you will really be surprised at who's actually waiting on you to release whatever you need to release, who's waiting on you to write whatever it is that you need to write, who's waiting on you to fulfill your purpose so they can fulfill theirs. You'll be surprised about that.
I love that. Well, thank you guys for that question. I wanted to go back to the chat. So one of the participants, Mr. Lewis, who is actually also part of the Black Authors Collective here to support, he has asked, in what environment do you do your best writing, and what was your editing process?
I can answer that. I have one small child. She's 1 year old. I'm surprised she's asleep right now. But I really put, and I have other kids. They're a little older than one, but I had to wait till they go to sleep, or I had to get up early, or when they were at school and I was at home. Or like I said, I use my little note app on my phone, and I just write wherever I feel like it. Whenever I feel it hit me, something that I think would be notable, I write it down. But to actually take time and try to focus and write, I had to either wait until my children went to sleep or got up early to do that. I went to even though right now we're like, I don't know if we're ending the pandemic or what is going on in the world right now, because places are opening, but I went to Starbucks, got me a little drink, and that's almost every author's favorite place to go write. You just have to find what works for you and your time, and if you can find like a secluded, nice little area, making your environment comfortable for you. If you like to listen to music when you write, do that. On the editing, I actually had somebody help me with the editing, and it was easier than I thought it would be. They didn't have to edit as much as I thought they would have. It was just like a few misspelled words, and that was pretty much like formatting. But yeah, I had outside help for that, so I didn't do the editing myself.
I'll start with editing first. For editing, I used Grammarly. I think that's what it's called. I pay for that. And then I pay for someone to edit, because like I said, I already knew that was an issue. But so I did the writing. And something else that I did too, and this is just a suggestion for whatever book that you are going to write, I looked at books for different formats that I like. And so there was like 4 different books that I loved the way that they were laid out. And so based on that, I was like, okay, I want my book laid out like this, but I didn't like that. So what do you like? Like when you get a house, you look at other houses. This is what I want in my house. This is your house. Your book, this is your house. You housing your heart. You housing your information. How do you want it to look? This is what you have to do. Sacrifice. Okay. This is, I mean, where do you write? Where do you find the time? You make the time. It ain't no, I don't know, didn't no extra time come in my day. I'm sure every writer gonna say that. You have to sacrifice. There's no other way around it. You sometimes have to get up earlier. You might have to, I don't know, stay up later. I mean, I took off literally because I'm a district director. So I have 3 sites that I oversee. We're moving, one is shutting down. When I tell you overwhelmed, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take some vacation days. I took some vacation days off. You know, I scratched my eye. So my eye was so swollen, couldn't even write. I was so upset that I'm like, I took days off and now I can't even write because the point I'm getting at is that no matter what, you just make it do. When it's important to you, you don't make excuses, you make a way. And that's what you do. So you just find a way to make it happen because it's that important to, again, let your words form out so that nobody else can say what you need to say. My book is a spiritual book, so I just want to share this when it comes to like, where do you go? How do you find the time? Philippians 3 and 13 and 14 says, "I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward to the things which are before, I press toward the mark of the prize." And what is the prize? Your published book. Yes, so that means I'm tired today. I'm gonna write. I don't care if it's 5-10 minutes. I'm going to write. Why? Because I have an end goal. And for me, I needed the 90 days so that I had to finish. I needed to know when the end was because I said, I need to finish this. So for you, it might be different, but press toward the mark. What is the mark? You guys are gonna be authors. Those that need to be, because somebody needs to hear this. That's what I'm saying.
So that's good, Lanice. So for me, it was about, especially for my second, well, even for my first book, I created a plan for myself and goals for myself of when I would finish certain parts of the book. I had to hold myself accountable. And then I remember we were having a church board meeting and I was like, I told everybody I'm gonna have this rough draft done by March. And that was for my first book. That was just holding myself accountable, as well as having other people that I said it out loud. This is my plan of what I was gonna do. But for my second book, my plan was to get it out in January, and God literally dropped it in my spirit, maybe about October 29th. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I gonna have this book done by the first of the year? I was like, that's not enough time. And that was what I was thinking. And so when God dropped it in my spirit, he gave me a strategy of how to figure out how to get it done. So each day I would say, well, I'm going to do this chapter today, or I'm going to do this much today. So it's a strategy that you do. You can't just go out there without planning. It has to be a strategy. You have to have a plan. What am I going to do to get this out? When do I want this book to be done? You can't just say, okay, I want it done someday. That's not going to work. You have to really make goals for yourself and make plans to complete those goals. I don't know if you guys heard of SMART goals. Look it up, SMART goals. I'm not going to go over it today, but anytime you have something that you want to achieve, you have to have goals to do it, and then you have to set your steps of what you're going to do to make it happen. Because we can say all day what we want to accomplish, but we won't accomplish anything unless we properly plan to accomplish it and set the goals and the plans and everything that we need to do. I also think it's really good, if you want to do a book or anything that you want to achieve, have a vision board. What does your vision board say? look at that vision board every day. I love vision board parties. I want to do one so bad. Look at your vision board every day of the things that you want to accomplish, and you can see right there what it is that you want to do. Visual. Put it as a visual for yourself. If you want to do a book, start doing what you want to start doing, making the plans to do it. Be active, but also put little pictures of books all around, what you want your books to look like, who inspires you, who have there been any books that you've read that you're like, wow, I want to write a book like that. I love autobiographies. I always have. Don't laugh, but one of my favorite autobiographies was from LL Cool J. I used to have a big crush on him when I was 13, so hey. But his autobiography was so good. Right now I'm reading the book Let Love Have the Last Word by Common. So I'm reading that now, but I love autobiographical books. And so I took a lot from the books I had written and what they did in a unique way that they did it. And then I added my own style and my own flavor to it. Also, writing autobiographies, it's good to talk to family members around you. When I was writing my book, as I said, my mother died when I was 17. And so I really had to reference my dad for a lot of information concerning, the first part of my life. What was it like when I was born? What was going on? And it was like, it really opened my eyes to, the climate and the atmosphere I was born in. I was not supposed to be born, honestly, if the devil had his way. My mother had aborted maybe a couple of times before she met my dad. She had a miscarriage with a fiance before she met my dad, and she had a stillbirth 3 years before me with my dad. So I'm like, I came out of this womb that was, I would say, a toxic womb. It wasn't not made to produce babies, but I made it out alive. So when I thought about that and I shared that in my story, it really told me a lot about why I'm a fighter and why I always keep moving forward and nothing will stop me. That's just my personality. Or if this doesn't work, okay, I'm going to do something else. Or if this doesn't work, I'm going to go another way. But I've always been a go-getter. So the downside to that is when I see people that are not go-getters, like my children, I have grown children, and then I have, my little author there who's doing really well. But my older children, they're not exactly doing what I want them to do. So I'm like, it's hard because I'm like, why are you guys not more like me? But I do have to understand that everybody has to do things in their own time. And so we have to give people a chance to grow and to do that. And so I sort of went off the topic, but I'm done.
Well, thank you all for answering the questions from the group. Fidel, did you have anything that stood out? I feel like I'm talking too much now.
There was so much great information shared this evening, so much inspiration for our listening audience. So again, we thank each and every one of you for giving us your personal time and sharing your secrets to the trade and all of that with us today. And I mean, I think it was so much covered that, I mean, it's like you got some weird, I mean, the genius we have amongst us never ceases to amaze me. I just am always really thankful. And this message will go out to a lot of people. This episode will get re-aired and rebroadcast. So, a lot of people will get touched by these words and, hopefully take some of this inspiration and this awareness and put it to use and execute. And as was already spoken tonight, and give our gifts, keep giving our gifts to the world.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, if no one has any other comments or questions, we can start wrapping it up. In the comments, I really would say if anyone who's interested, go ahead and go to those authors' pages right now so you can see. I also put a link to the SMART goals Ms. Kenya was talking about to kind of break that down. And that is definitely, I use them in my daily life or in my goals. So I would definitely second that with whatever you do, whether it's writing books, whatever you want to get done in your life, definitely set a SMART goal for it. And yes, we have a question. So we will definitely have links on Facebook. Actually, if you go to the event now, the links are actually on each author's picture in the virtual meet and greet, and that'll be the third one on Niche Book Bar's Facebook page. But this will go out as well with more links when we are done editing through it.
Before we close out, if anyone knows any other authors that you would like to recommend to be featured in the future, let Satonia know and make that recommendation, because we want to keep these conversations going and keeping this engagement going. And hopefully this gets y'all some instant sales more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And tell your daughter thank you too.
You all eventually.
Yep. Tell your daughter thank you. We appreciate her.
I sure, you know, she's a child, so she that's what she's gonna do. But I'm glad she showed her face.
That's what it is.
She has more time to practice and to get it going. Before you know it, she'll be hogging the camera, pushing you out to the side. So.
And she typically does, but like I said, she is like her father. She doesn't. Waking them up is a little different. I can bounce, you know, I can get up like that, but it takes her a while to warm up. I'll tell you, probably in the next 20 minutes, she'll be talking my ears off like she does every day.
Well, before you authors disconnect, I just want to reiterate about the directory. It's open to everybody in Black Authors Collective. Anyone has to do is email me and say, hey, I want to be added to this directory. As long as they are a Black author, they can add themselves to it. You can add yourselves to it. I think I sent around Saturday or Sunday. So we're gonna definitely have ways for people to connect with you guys.
All righty.
All right. And with that, you guys can have a great night. Thank you so much.
Did you guys have closeout music? I heard some music.
That's what I thought too. I was waiting for it. I didn't know if we were about to like transition to like a dance.
Come on now.
It was a little bit of background. You know, it did kind of come on time, but it wasn't intentional. Y'all have a good night.
Name of Cassidy the Hustler, and I bought two of my
That is actually great closeout music. So.